Even though you would like to know the long-term effect of a stem cell transplant, I totally understand that my process and what I went through 10 years ago is not as relevant now as the updated information about today's treatment. And I am not up to date at all on where you can get what kind of treatment. What I want to do is to share my experience, to give you a foundation to make your own research and to find out, oh wow, that's an element I should look into, so that nothing of the process will come as a surprise to you. Because my treatment was heavy. I did full myeloablative protocol, beam protocol, with high dose chemo. So after the 6 days of chemo, I would actually not survive if I didn't get my stem cells back. Now it's more common to do non-myo. It's not that heavy, and it's called stem cell supported transplant. So there's a big difference in the severity of the treatment and how you will react. So even though my treatment was rougher than most treatments are now, don't make the mistake of underestimate what it does to your body. When I see people ask, will I be able to work while I'm in hospital? And I'm like, no, not at all. At least I wasn't. I was so very, very sick, especially after the transplant and in the engraftment period. So it's important that you don't take easy on this and you don't think of it as just another treatment or just another transfusion. It's heavy what the stem cell transplant is doing to your body. And of course we want it to be, because we are really wanting it to do major difference to our body, right? So what I want you to take from my experience is the importance of being very well prepared for all the practical things. Be as physical fit as possible before you leave. Be as mentally strong as you possibly can be. I am sure that my mental preparations and my mental exercises and all the mental work I did while I was in isolation, when I was in engraftment, was very important, and maybe the reason that I had measurable blood levels earlier than anyone had before me. So the preparation part cannot be underestimated. This is maybe the most important thing you do for your health, so do your homework. I am not up to date of the current facilities and treatments that are offered, and I'm not up to date on the timeline. But I know that one of the things I was most eager to find out was, how is the timeline? Because I was working full-time, my husband was working full-time, and we were trying to put this into a quite intense schedule. That is the reason why I give you my timeline. Then you can start finding out whether the facility that you choose are having similar or different timeline. But I want to give you an impression of how the treatment was for me back then, so that you can compare with what you are able to do now. "10 years after my diagnosis, I was quite desperate to find something that would work for me. I had been on Tysabri for a year with no effect. I had quite often new inflammations and new functional areas affected, and when I read about stem cell transplant, I was quite determined that I would really want to do that. So my preparation period started that autumn by trying to find out, is this at all possible for me? It was totally impossible for me to get a neurologist in Norway to refer me for treatment abroad. And there was impossible to get admitted into one of the university clinics abroad because they needed a referral, or what I called an indication for treatment. Then I got advice to ask to pay for consultation so that they could consider my medical state and evaluate if they thought that stem cell transplant would work for me. And of course, this is the most important thing you would do when you start your preparation. It is to find out as much as you can about how are your condition, how are your MS, and how are your chances of getting a success if you do stem cell transplant. Will I have a potential to benefit from it? Where can I do the transplant? Will I be accepted? Can I afford it? Could I attend a trial, for example? All of these things will be necessary to find out. And as I have been saying for a long time, if this is a treatment that your neurologist is not recommending, at least that has been the situation for many of us for many years now, you will have to take responsibility both for the treatment and the result, but also then for all the preparation, all the research, all the things you can find out to be as prepared as possible. Another part of the preparation is all the practical stuff. And I really advise you to find a Facebook group with people who are going to the same facility as you are. There you will always find updated information about all the practical stuff. And then you need to prepare your body and mind for the treatment. In February, we still didn't know if it would ever be possible, but while we were on a weekend in Paris, we got confirmations from both Heidelberg and Karolinska that I was accepted to get consultations with neurologists and hematologists. It was really amazing to be in the process, and in March the same week I was in Heidelberg and at Karolinska going through the most comprehensive neurological testing that I had ever been. I got conclusion from both of them that I was in relapsing remitting and that they would offer me treatment. So after many months of not having any option at all, I suddenly had to choose between two. So we decided really fast that we would go for Karolinska in Sweden because of the distance and the language. In the next video, I will go deeper into the timeline and the 3 stages of the treatment, and I will answer why I chose the beam protocol.